Welcome back to Think, the podcast with me, Dylan Schreibman. Thank you for joining me for another conversation. This is episode 8. Today we're thinking about why I left Los Angeles. Let's get into it. Again, thank you for joining me for another conversation. I do want to remind you before we begin that a new podcast drops every Tuesday on this channel. So go ahead and subscribe and get the new episode of the Think podcast every Tuesday where we get to have another conversation. Today's topic is why I left Los Angeles. This one, I think there's a lot of reasons. I don't really think it can be summed up in one direct reason. I think a big decision like that always involves a lot of thinking and a lot of variables. I do want to say before we begin and get into the actual reasons why I left the city, it was not the city. And I've said this before, I never blamed it on the city. I still don't blame it on the city. I love the city. It is near and dear to my heart, and it is not the reason that I left. I love the culture of the city. I love the atmosphere of the city. There's so many things to do and so many things to explore across a multitude of things, no matter your interest. And that's what I love about the city. No matter what you're into, there's always something to go out and do and experience. And you never run out of ideas. I always say in the 5.5 to 6 years that I lived there, I feel like I probably saw 20% of the city. It's just, and that's not that I didn't go out and do things. It's just so big and there's so many things to do and there's so many things I still want to discover out of Los Angeles. I made great friends there and I miss them so much dearly every day. They are my besties for life and to experience the city with them was everything to me. And so I definitely do want to say it's not the city and that is not the reason that I was unfulfilled. It still has a very special place in my heart, and I can see myself moving back and living there and starting my life, or we'll say a Dylan 2.0 in Los Angeles. I can definitely see that round two. Leaving a city that you love and that you know isn't the reason for your departure is one of the most difficult decisions you can make. Leaving the memories and experiences behind, leaving your friends who you're used to seeing in person frequently to now it's just over the phone, which is still connection, but there's nothing like an in-person connection. Leaving the experiences that and the places that you got to visit daily or you could just drive to if you wanted to one day is difficult. But to me, there just came a time where I knew I needed a break from it. And that's what my heart and my faith was telling me that I kind of needed to move away for a bit to start that reset and start the healing and the refocusing of this is actually what I moved to the city to do. Lose track of that after a while. I think you get into your day-to-day effort and sometimes as humans we lose track of our goals and what we wanted to do and what we wanted to accomplish and why we moved out there. I don't like to say I know there are distractions in life, but that's a really difficult word for me because I think I'm someone who's always struggled to find work-life balance in a way of I know I need to do it, and when I was there, I know I needed to do it, but I felt like if I wasn't working, I would be really hard on myself, and or I felt like if I wasn't working towards my goals, I would be really hard on myself and feel like I'm running behind schedule or running out of time, and then the anxiety starts to build up, and that gets in your way. I should do a whole episode on that, I think, but I do want to say the anxiety after you feel like you've been working and maybe you're not hard and you're not to where you want to be, the anxiety builds up and that becomes a hindrance because instead of fully being focused on what you're going after, you're always thinking of, oh, I still want to accomplish this, or yesterday I could have done this better, or, and I think sometimes I had a friend say to me once, we were talking about work-life balance, and she said, you know, when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to look back and just think about work. You're going to look back and think about, did I ex enjoy life? Did I get to experience memories and create experiences outside of work that brought me joy, whether that be traveling or hanging out with my friends or spending quality time with the people you love. That's important too. And I think that's one of the lessons Los Angeles taught me of it doesn't always have to be, I need to be doing this at all times or I'm going to be extremely hard on myself. There's a balance. And I think it got to the point where because I didn't allow myself to feel that balance, even though I was doing it, I was making sure that I was going out and having fun. I crashed out and I became, well, I've always been extremely hard on myself. That's something I'm working on and something I'm my biggest critic. But there just came a point where it, the critic became too much. And I would criticize myself for not getting enough done that week or not being as far as I wanted to. Coincide that with being a control freak and trying to control everything, even things out of my control. That's a very dangerous and negative and unhealthy combination of critic plus control equals disaster. And I think one of the lessons that I learned after leaving Los Angeles was, A, we can't control everything. So we only can focus on what's in our control and leave what's out of our control out of our control. And B, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I don't have to criticize myself, even though it's a daily struggle that I'm working on. I don't have to criticize myself. I can be my own biggest fan instead. If I could sum up in two words why I left Los Angeles temporarily, as I said, there's a lot of reasons. They would be unfulfilled and healing. I ignored the signs of me not being happy and fulfilled for a long time that it kind of spiraled a bit too much. That's why I said if you're starting to feel that way in a previous episode, really reflect and see what's going on there before it gets way too out of control. I allowed my limiting beliefs to really take over in the past year, and I would sit there and I'll be like, I know I have this vision. I know what I want to do. I know what God has placed on my heart. I know my purpose. But the fear of judgment and the fear of it not working out really got to me this past year. And instead of sitting with it and eliminating those limiting beliefs, I think sometimes we suppress and we act like we're okay and we just keep moving forward. That's me in a nutshell of even though I am an emotional person and I consider myself an emotionally intelligent person, I think there's the other side of me that doesn't allow me because I want to be so emotionally intelligent and so in touch with positivity and my emotions. I think there's a side of me that doesn't allow me to really feel because I feel like maybe it will slow down my manifestations or maybe it will not allow me to accomplish what I'll accomplish. And I think I was taught partly reflecting through therapy because of coming out late and suppressing who I am. I think I was that way for a as long as I can remember of don't show people your weaknesses. You can freak out when you're alone and you can maybe get sad when you're alone, but when you're in front of people, you need to have it together. You need to be a certain way. You need to be polished. You need to be confident. You need to be, especially in career situations, confident. You need to be ambitious. You need to be a light for people because what if they're going through a struggle? You want to help them and you don't want to place a burden on them. And that was my way of thinking of if I tell my friend what's really going on or what I'm struggling with, that's going to be another burden that they have to think about in my life. But if I don't tell them and I just kind of act like I have it all together, they can go on living a life because they don't have to worry about me. And every time they see me, they know that I'm good. And they know that I'm getting through it. Not the correct thinking or attitude. I think it's actually more being an emotionally intelligent person as I consider myself, I think it's more productive to let your emotions out and tell your friends really what's going on and what you're struggling with. A, you'll have a support system to get you through it. B, suppressing doesn't work. You need to walk through the fire to get through to the other side, and you will get through it, the fire and to the other side. Sometimes it just takes time. All of that unfulfilledness and critic and control led me to break and led me to burn out, which I think looking back in a year isn't a bad thing. I think I needed this to happen to allow me to step into that next chapter with a clearer mindset, my desires still of what I want to do, not being afraid of them, and really trying to unlearn old behaviors. I think, and I've done an episode on healing, I think a lot of us, we lose ourselves, but we don't really realize it in the moment. And I think when you're losing yourself and you don't realize it, it builds up. You just tell yourself to go through the day by day and be grateful for what you have. I think you should be grateful in any season. I'm not saying you can't be sad too. Like, I don't think the two are, have to coincide separately. I think you can be grateful and still be upset about something. I think when you do start to lose yourself, you look for external validation and not validation within yourself. And sometimes we can lose ourselves, like, as I said, without realizing it in the moment. We can tell ourselves to get through the day by day. And if you're a person that suppresses your emotions and tells yourself, fake it till you make it and act like it's going to be okay, eventually that will all come out in other ways. It will all build up and come right back to blow up right in your face. And that's why one of my biggest lessons, or if I could give a piece of advice, is allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. It's okay. Your feelings are justified. Face them head on, sit with it. That will allow you to process what's really going on before everything goes to, before everything blows up in your face or everything comes at you at once. If you're going through a struggle, whether that be, "Ah, I just feel like I've been at this job too long and I've run out of room to grow," or a relationship just ended, or you lost a friendship that you really loved being in, sit with it. If you don't take the time to heal, it's going to come out in a different way. For example, say you have a friendship that just ended and or a relationship. Say it has something to do with somebody else or a relationship with somebody else. If you don't take the time to process what happened during that friendship or relationship, you're never going to learn. And you're going to keep repeating the same patterns until you learn. The universe will always give you the same patterns until you learn. Allow yourself to feel the sadness of it, of and grieve and mourn, because that's no matter whose fault it is, you're losing someone that was really important to you just, a day ago or a couple months ago. That person was in your life, and now, you know, if something's going on in your life or you're struggling with something and they're the one that you used to talk to, it's hard not to pick up the phone and want to call them. So definitely feel the emotion of it, and but also at this, and as you're feeling the emotion, or if you want to feel the emotion first, like I said, healing is not an ABC thing. It's kind of just a day by day thing. When you feel like you're ready, allow yourself to realize your actions in it and hold yourself accountable because nobody's perfect. That person probably made mistakes too. I'm not saying it's all your fault, but both of you probably did things that caused the friendship to end. I mean, I'm sure there's situations where it is totally somebody else's fault, but for most situations in life, if some type of relationship or friendship ends, it normally has to do with both people. Allow yourself to think, oh, what did I do? And this doesn't have to be a critic thing. I think that's how I would used to turn it into of this friendship ended and I did this. So if I didn't do this, we would still be friends. Or if I didn't act this way, we would still be friends. If I didn't act insecure in this friendship, we would still be friends. I think it's easy to be hard on yourself and criticize yourself for what you did wrong. Don't take it as that approach. I think just sit down and reflect. Oh, maybe I was a bit too insecure in this friendship or relationship, or a bit too jealous, or a bit too. I really wasn't even myself. I changed. Whatever it is, allow yourself to be like, to reflect that and change. Allow yourself to be like, in my next friendship, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be insecure or anxious or jealous. I'm going to trust that this person's in my life for a reason and people like me. I think that's another thing of friendships as well. Sometimes I think we think there's a lot more wrong than there actually is. Another thing I'm learning and in this period of leaving LA, people like you more than you think. People want to see you more than you think. I think a lot of the times when something goes wrong in a friendship or relationship, we think that person's going to leave us and they don't like us anymore or they're never going to see us the same. That's not true. I mean, think of the way you view people. Think of the way you view the people you love in your life. You forgive them after they make a mistake. You support them through their tough battles. That like you are going to do the same for you. You should also do that for yourself. And I know there's always that quote of, if you can only see how people see you, but people like you more than you think. So, and though, the one thing I have learned over the past year, even though it's been tough, if you look for the signs that people like you in your life and care for you, you will find them. You will get reassurance. God will send you those signs. I mean, I don't think friends, I really am to the point of my life where my friends and I really don't do drama. We don't fight a lot, which I love and I'm grateful for those friendships. It took me a while to find those friendships, but I'm grateful for them. But even in those friendships where you don't fight a lot, sometimes it's easy to get a little insecure of, does this person really like me as much as I think? Or are they judging me for something that I'm doing? Or am I good enough to be friends with them? Do I deserve their companionship? It's natural as humans to do that. I think I'm learning to leave that in the old habits bin and or container and move forward. But there are reminders there. I will tell you that if you look for reminders that people like you will find them. Over the past year, if I look back and reflect on the people in my life and how they act towards me, the people that I really love and have good relationships with, and there's love between us, and, you know, we're bonded for life, as they say, I know I can pick up the signs of, oh, that person likes me. And that's not a cocky thing or an arrogant thing. It's a thing that I've had to learn. And I've decided that I'm giving myself more credit for the friendships I have established. I'm giving myself credit that these people are my friends. They like me. They wouldn't be my life if they weren't supposed to be. Once you step into that and give yourself more credit, it makes you so secure in your friendships. I think it will make you not have a fear of this person's going to leave me. I do not, and I'm so proud of myself as I've come a long way in this. I used to, and I think relationships are a different animal. I'm not in one right now, so I can't tell you if that's the case in that, but I am proud of myself. I am damn proud of myself over this past year that I am so secure in the friendships that I have that I did not used to be that way. I used to be so insecure in friendships and anxious in friendships that people were going to leave me and I couldn't do one thing wrong or I couldn't make one mistake or I couldn't be myself truly and authentically because people wouldn't like me. I have come so far in that journey where that's in the container in a way I don't think like that anymore. And I'm finally to the point where I'm like, I know my friends like me and I like them too. Like it's a two-way street. And it's just really nice to have that elevated feeling of friendship and not afraid anymore that people are going to leave. That was one of my lessons, be okay with people leaving because people will leave. I think people are meant to be in your life for seasons. And once you get to the point where you're not afraid of people leaving, it's a lot easier on you and you're able to forgive yourself in your relationships with other people. I know I've gotten distracted a bit, but I like to be in, this is a big reason why I left LA was I had to learn a lot of lessons and figure out a lot about myself. And so I kind of went on a tangent there. I think I needed a reset. I needed to reprioritize things of putting validation back into myself, loving myself, but also refocusing. It's a refocus on my goals and my desires and what I want to do. I think for most of my life, I've always put so much energy into what other people think and my relationships with other people, and not put enough energy into myself and what I want to do and what I like. I think leaving the city was the reason that I realized that and that refocus of no, you need to take that energy that you're putting into other people and wanting relationships with other people into yourself and what you like, what you want to do, what goals and desires you want to go after. I think another reason I left LA was to find myself and rediscover myself, reignite that flame within myself. I think for the first time in my life, I'm okay with being single. I think I spent most of my 20s really wanting a relationship and really wanting that love. And I think I know it will come. I know it will. And then I keep telling myself, if you already think it will come, why are you in a hurry? Why are you in a hurry for what's yours? For what you've already claimed and pray for? It will come at the right time. I've always been in a rush and I think it's because of ambition. I don't think ambition is a bad thing. I think it can be a good thing if it's not used in the wrong way. I've always had goals and what I wanted to do, and instead of looking at always being focused on what I need to do to accomplish those goals, I allowed my anxiety to think in the perspective of you're running out of time. You are getting older and you still haven't done these things that you want to do. I've had that issue for a long time and it's something I'm unlearning. I think another reason I left LA was to learn to slow down and not be in a rush and just take it day by day and be grateful for each day to explore the moments and find myself thinking deeply again. I guess this slow down reason can kind of go into the reason that I left to find myself. I guess they can merge together of really be present and really enjoy each day. Not a small town will teach you to slow down and not be in a rush and explore the real moments of life and be in those moments. So, for example, yesterday I was at a coffee shop and I saw these two grandmas sitting at a table, and you know that us in 50 years trend? I just had a moment to myself where I was just so emotional in my head about it of, oh my God, like that could be me, my bestie, in, you know, due time. And I started thinking of how I didn't ask. I kind of wanted to go up and ask what their relationship was to each other, like if they're family or friends, but I was too scared. I wanted to because I was just thinking in my mind of they must be so grateful to know each other for that long and be in each other's lives and be each other's support system for that long. And they still enjoy each other's company and they're still meeting to have a coffee. It made me so emotional. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it made me so emotional to think about how long they've supported each other and been for, I don't, it just, it got me, y'all. I was a mess. But I don't think a year ago me was always in a rush and wanting to get things done. And I don't think I would have slowed down to think about that or noticed that. And maybe the slowdown lesson isn't why. I mean, I left LA to slow down. I think it was in my mind of, okay, I can go back to my small town for temporarily and live a more slow down life. I don't think necessarily I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn to be in the moment. I think it was just kind of one of those after the fact things of living here for a few months of me learning. And a year ago, I don't think I would have even noticed. Like I would have just been at the coffee shop, did my thing, left, what's next, what's next, what's next, instead of just taking a moment. I've always had part of my purpose, and something I really enjoy is getting to know other stories. I love sitting down and talking with people and getting to know what trials they've overcome and getting to know what their childhood was like and why they act like they do because of those behaviors and what has shaped them to act like they do. Like what has shaped them to be kind and be have such a warm heart, stuff like that. I really like that stuff. And yesterday I was just thinking of like that relationship and like how they must have known each other for so long. I really wanted to talk to them and ask them, but I was scared, so I didn't. But I really enjoy getting to know others' stories and why they are like they are, why they want to do what they want to do, what has made them, and what have they overcome. That's real always, and why are they doing what they do? That's always, I think deeply like that. And that's something that I've always carried with me. And I think that's part of the learning to rediscover myself phase again of I forgot about that. I forgot that I love getting to know others and where they come from and what they're doing and why they're doing it. I forgot that part of myself for a long time, and I really am enjoying rediscovering that. As I said, the city itself isn't the reason that I left. I love Los Angeles and it has a special place in my heart. So I kind of wanted to reflect and look back of what I miss in Los Angeles and be grateful for that. First and foremost, I miss my friends. That's the top of my list. I miss them so much. And getting to do life with them and experience memories and travel together and do things in Los Angeles together. I miss that. I miss some of the food. I will say a Maryland crab cake is my favorite food. If you don't know me or you're listening and you're my future husband, take notes. All my friends know there is nothing to me that beats a Maryland crab cake. If you haven't tried it, you need to get your life. But I do miss some of the food in Los Angeles. I miss Beachwood Cafe. My friend took me to Beachwood Cafe, and when I tell you one of the best coffees I've ever had in my life is there, and the food is, oh, the breakfast is so good. I'm such a sucker for brunch. Like, I am such a sucker for breakfast food. That's my thing. Like, invite me to a brunch. If I'm available, I'm gonna be there. I love their food. Oh, I need to go back. Now I'm getting hungry. If you haven't been to La La Land, you have to go to La La Land. They also have one of the best coffees I've ever tasted in Los Angeles. I'm a coffee shop person. I love coffee shops. I love going to coffee shops, especially by myself and sitting there and doing work and having a coffee and just being in that moment. That's one of the things I love to do. Look, I'm rediscovering myself. One of my favorite restaurants, and I don't think this one's like on TikTok or like the last few were mentioned in a Harry Styles song, but it's called Third Base. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's not that. It's a sports bar, and I'm a gay who loves sports. I know that's a rare thing, but it's so fun to go there and watch the football games and eat. Their food is so good, and their drinks are good. And when the football games aren't on, the music there, I'm telling y'all, if you haven't been to Third Base, I'm hoping it's still there. It's in the middle of Hollywood. It's right there. I think the street is called Selma. Is it Selma? Oh my God, I haven't been there in a few months, y'all, so forgive me if I'm saying the wrong thing. But it's right there by that, what's that Essex bar called? And Stouts. It's right in the middle there of Hollywood, okay? You need to go and get your life there. I also miss rooftops. I really haven't experienced rooftops since I've been back, like in the Maryland area. So if there are any in the DMV area, let me know. I love sitting on a rooftop and having a nice drink and talking to my friends and taking in the view. I would love to do that in a relationship one day. But we're in our single era for now. It's romantic though, but it's fun with friends too. My friends and I have been to some fun rooftops in Los Angeles, and we need to go. I think another thing I miss is the weather. I realize I do not like the cold. That's eliminated a lot of cities from my future list. I cannot stand the cold, and I think I was meant to learn that in this season. I miss the weather where you can go outside, it's nice, and might have a little wind, but it's also like nice on the, oh, I miss it. I miss the nice weather. I will say I got spoiled for 5.5 years. I will say that, but I miss it. I do want to wrap this up, but thank you for joining me for another conversation, and thank you for continuing to go on this journey with me. I'm so excited to see where it takes us. Before I wrap up, I always want to say this is a safe space for my LGBTQ plus community and its allies. There's a lot going on right now, continuing to go on in the world. And just in case this is your first time listening, I want to make it clear that this is a safe space for you. Even if you just have to come sit for a moment, I'm here for you. Okay? I love you, and I'll see you next time.